Well, my name's Rosie Craig. I've been collecting pumpkins for longer than I can really tell. Ta-da. Everybody always throws them in the leaf pile, and even the people that pick up leaves don't want to pick up these big old... Whoops, there goes the baby. So, these didn't even make it into the leaf pile. They were just put on the tree lawn next to leaf bags. And there's one of them, and I've got 2 more to go get. And that'll give me 7 pumpkins for the winter, and that'll be more than enough. My friend. Pumpkin's my friend. I like my pumpkins. I think it came slowly because my mother never threw anything out. She was a depression child. I remember even when I was 5 and 6 years old, she would let me carve up a jack-o'-lantern and she would take it away from me. I would be playing with it and she would take it away from me so that she could make pumpkin pie before it spoiled. But she was also very inventive. And there's a certain creativity to having food and thinking, well, okay, how can I make this into something that's tasty and that'll be fun? So I always remember my mother making pumpkin pie, and after I got married and I had my own family, I wanted to be able to make my own pumpkin pie. But it didn't really start taking off until I realized how nutritious pumpkin really is. And most people don't realize that pumpkin pie solid pack in a can is not pumpkin, it's butternut squash, and it has a very different flavor. Even when I had my first child, I remember having conversations of how, gee, if you made pumpkin pie, then your kids could eat as much of it as they'd wanted, because even though it had some sugar in it, it had lots of nutrition. It had milk, and it had vegetables, and it had eggs. And then I ended up getting a daughter who wouldn't eat any vegetables except broccoli with cheese or pumpkin pie. And so that was her standard vegetable. And from there, I just started having fun by collecting pumpkins. I learned different ways to cook them. I can stir fry it. I can make pumpkin soup out of it. And you can make pumpkin pancakes. I mean, you can just do anything you want with pumpkin because it's kind of bland. It's just a lot of fun. And if you look at it, you can actually use up a whole pumpkin. Sometimes the family starts to complain when I do that because they think that it had too much pumpkin soup and too much pumpkin ratatouille and too much pumpkin stir fry. But you know, you can use up a lot of it, and it's really, really nutritious. And I just hate to see things go to waste, you know. I think of all the good that can come out of those pumpkins sitting in, that people have discarded and thrown into the leaf pile. And I think, well, what a shame, you know? I mean, we spend a lot of money, fuel, energy is put into making these pumpkins, and then people don't even eat them. In fact, some people think you can't eat them, which is ridiculous. Of course you can eat them. But it's a little tricky. They're big. You have to have the right kind of knives to chop them up. And it helps to have a good peeler. You got to be careful not to nick your fingers when you peel them. But it's just fun. It's fun to harvest things that are great sitting in a leaf pile. They're perfectly, leaf piles are clean for the most part. I don't know. It is actually amazing. We happen to have a place in our basement which is just the right temperature and humidity for keeping pumpkins. And if you get a pumpkin that doesn't have any blemishes, you could actually keep it until June. But if I cook them up, the dogs love them. And actually the dogs love them even raw. Little bits of a raw pumpkin, they go after them for doggy treats. So that's another way that you can use pumpkin. I think my family thinks that my pumpkin collection is kind of funny. I think they're kind of proud of me, maybe a little bit embarrassed. They do sometimes, certain members of the family decide to say, I'm not having any more pumpkin now, Mom. I'm done with pumpkin for the year. They don't say it just like that, but I can tell that's what they mean. Like, no, I don't want any pumpkin pie now. But I think there's a lot of value to instruct people how to do fun things with food. We waste so much food, and we spend so much energy making food. They are very pretty. I understand they originally were developed for the cows, so the cows could eat them, but I think that humans can eat them. And after all, if it's good enough for a cow, it's good enough for us. There's also other useful things for pumpkins. One is to keep Ethan away from the electrical outlet.
Ethan. Do you think people will notice that you have pumpkins in your stroller instead of a child?
We're not going to go back to the school. We're going to walk around the block that way.
Is that worse or better that we're taking the long way?
Well, it's just people don't understand. People might think I'm strange.